Kate Mila Falcho, welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Welcome back, Debbra Lupien, voice of the AKASHIC Records. Hi, Deborah.
Great to see you.
Thank you for doing this. People love when you do this. Did you know that?
I've seen some of the comments. It's really lovely. And I love doing it. It's exciting and it's fun. We find out juicy details.
I know. We're solving crimes right and left. Getting all the gossip right out of the horse's mouth. It's great. So today I asked Deborah to join me to look into the case of the Menendez brothers. Now, we're recording this a couple of days ahead, full confession here. But Wednesday, August 20th, is the anniversary of the murder of their parents. So I thought it'd be an interesting time to look into some of the questions about this case. And there's no doubt about who committed the crime. I mean, we all know who was killed and who did it. They lied about it at first, of course. The question is, why? And there are several schools of thought. There have been several lines of defense. There have been several cases of prosecution against them. They had 2 trials. They had a number of appeals. It's a circus. It's a 3-ring circus. I didn't know a lot about it. Did you know much about it, Deborah?
I know very little.
Well, that's always good. That's always best, huh?
Yeah.
So I thought maybe if this is possible, what we could do is put the questions out there for either brother, because it would be redundant to separate them and ask them the same questions. And we want to know
alive, because they're still alive, we'll have to talk to their soul.
Right.
But we can also ask the parents.
Until I sat down to find the questions I'd made out, it didn't occur to me to ask anything of the parents. And then we won't go into the pathetic, technologically ignorant details, but I couldn't add anything more to the question. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because let's do that after we, or let's intersperse it, however it works out. Okay. So beginning with these questions are for either or any or all of the people involved, and I'll let you, make that call. So the first question I had was if they could talk about their childhood and describe their relationship with their parents and what went on behind closed doors in that house. And we have to be careful about our words, because I'll be back in YouTube jail before you know it.
Okay.
I'm a recidivist. I'm a repeat offender.
That's bad. So there's Lyle, and who's the other one?
Eric. Lyle is the older one. Eric is the younger one. And I can never tell when I see them. I don't know which is which. I have this weird inability to remember. I mean, I'll look at them and I'll look it up and I'll know, okay, that's Lyle, that's Eric. And then the next day I can't remember. It's weird. That's on me. That's not their fault. So anyway, yes, Lyle and Eric. Lyle was born 2 years before.
Okay.
At the time of the crime, Eric was in high school or just done, and Lyle was in his first year at Princeton.
Okay, so angels, we need your help with this one. We want to connect with the souls of Lyle and Eric Menendez. We'd like to know about their childhood. What was it like growing up in the house with their parents, in a place of privilege where they had so much? Was that facade that they showed to the world true? Were they a happy, wealthy, comfortable family? No, they're saying facade is exactly right. It seems like the father had the business he did was kind of underhanded and wrangling, and it has almost a gangster feeling to it. And so that energy was in the home because that was his way of being. Even though he could put on the facade of being a gentleman and, belonging at the country club, he had that other oily's the word I'm getting, side to him.
He was in the entertainment business. He was a big CEO. a CEO of some big entertainment company, Live Entertainment, I think was called, and he handled talent. So we'll get to it later, but Menudo, that boy group,
Oh yeah.
he handled them, and he handled other famous people. And he was a wheeler and dealer and very conscious of appearance and money. And the relationship they describe is pretty disturbing. I'm curious to see what information we can get, how much of it is true.
Yeah. So a specific question or just kind of generic probing?
Okay, well, they kind of have two parallel but slightly different stories. They both say he was an authoritarian, a control freak, really dominant. The mother was sort of browbeaten, but he was, I'm trying to be careful with my words. He was engaging in inappropriate behavior with both sons. The older one for a couple of years, but he had a thing for the younger son that went on until he was 18. And so, there's a lot of information out there that they confessed to, that they talked about in court. I just wonder, without getting into the specifics, for YouTube, how much of it was true? What was the father like? And
let's put that question to the father and just see what he will talk about. Do you know his name?
Jose.
Jose. Okay, so Jose Menendez. Would you be willing to speak with us? Yeah, he's coming as very meek and mild now, with a lot of regret for what he has done. So could you talk to us about your relationship with your sons? They claim that it was an abusive situation. Is that true? I get a big yes on that. And he doesn't have the attitude now because he's repenting, but he's admitting that he came with this old world attitude of, I created them, I can do whatever I want with them. I can shape them the way I want them to be. And he's also saying what he did with his sons was done to him.
Oh, that was my next question.
Yeah. And he said, this is how you raise your children. This is the normal way in his mind. So he didn't at the time consider that he was doing anything wrong.
I have a question for him that is, I don't mean anything by it. It's just the information is out there. I want to verify it or not. And I have to be careful the words I use. But there were implications that he consumed media that reflected that kind of behavior. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yes. Yeah.
And that his marriage was a cover.
Yeah. So, Jose, could you speak to that about your particular appetites and your consumption of media? Yeah, he had a great interest in the male side of life.
Okay, that's what the rumor was. That's what the sons alleged, and nobody would believe it, or the court didn't want to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had supposedly this reputation, and he was good at putting on a front. So it feels like living in that house was you were always acting.
Mm-hmm.
You could never be yourself.
Yeah.
You had to play a role. It was very structured.
It was all about appearance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just, like what you were wearing, but and what your hair looked like your behavior. It was all about appearance. Did he love Kitty?
Is that the wife?
The wife, yeah.
Okay. So, Jose, did you love Kitty? It's terrible, but he's saying he could take her or leave her. She was a convenient tool. He needed somebody at his side who played a role.
I think she was like a beauty queen or something. And maybe I'm making that up, but if I feel like that's what she did when they met in college. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it true that Kitty was a beauty queen? Was she involved in that world? Yeah, not really entrenched in it, but yeah, she was on the fringes of it. So she had the look and she had the way of being that filled the role that he was trying to cast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad. Let's see. Since you have the father here, let me look at some of these questions. Did he understand how his sons feared him and resented him?
So Jose, did you understand that your boys feared and resented you deeply? Well, of course he did because that's normal. That's how he was raised.
Oh.
That's what you want. That's how you form them into the beings that they are to become.
Did he prefer his toxic relationship with Eric? He had a thing for Eric, it seems. Is that true?
So Jose, is it true that Eric got more of your attention? Was there a clear preference there? Eric was easier to manipulate. That's why. It's not that he looked at them and chose one over the other. It's one of them was more malleable, like clay.
Yeah. So they got caught after doing several burglaries in Calabasas. They were living in Calabasas, home of the Kardashians. And he got them out of trouble. It was like $100,000 worth of jewelry they stole out of people's houses. So how did he get them out of trouble? And then they moved immediately to Beverly Hills. And my question is two parts. How did he get them out of trouble? And did they move to get away from the scene of the crime?
So Jose, what did you do to get the boys out of trouble in Calabasas when they stole? He had a lot of connections. He greased a lot of palms, and it cost him. It cost him more than they stole to shut people up. He also knew influential people, so it was kind of a barter almost. It wasn't all money. Some of it was favors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, what was the second part of the question?
Is that why they moved to Beverly Hills?
So, is that the reason you moved to Beverly Hills? Well, Beverly Hills was a better location for his work, but yes, it helped that they could get out of that environment and start fresh somewhere else. So it was kind of a two-pronged. He never did anything just for them. There was always an ulterior motive with everything.
Did he get Lyle into Princeton?
So Jose, were you responsible for getting Lyle into Princeton? He says no. He actually got there himself.
Oh, I'm surprised because he's described as not a good student.
He's saying that surprised him that Lyle was able to do that. He didn't expect it of him. But it almost feels like Lyle used a little bit of his own pulling strings to make it happen. He learned from his father. And so Jose's kind of proud of that.
Now that he is looking at it from a different perspective, how would he characterize Lyle? Is Lyle a psychopath?
So Jose, looking at Lyle today, would you say that he is a psychopath? He doesn't want to admit it, but he says, yes, it's true.
Is Eric sort of the one who is manipulated and dragged along?
So, Jose, would you say that Eric is still malleable and he's being manipulated and pulled along? Yeah, that was his role in the family. He learned it well.
So the night that he died, he probably didn't have very much time to process what was happening. But looking at it now, looking back, how was he surprised?
So, Jose, were you surprised when the boys attacked you and killed you? Yeah, he was. He didn't think they had it in
That's what
them.
I thought.
He felt that he had them under control, and they would never dare to raise a hand against their father because that's how he was raised, and he was really trying to replicate that formula. He would never have raised a hand to his father.
Well, he was an immigrant from Cuba, and they fled Cuba at the revolution because they were wealthy, and those people were targeted. So you can only imagine what kind of patriarchal nonsense he grew up with, right? And
Yeah, what he's describing is pretty dire.
Do you have other questions? Oh, I have a question. Now that I think about it, see, I didn't make a list for the father. Did he make a pass at his niece?
So, Jose, did you make a pass at your niece? He says no, although he understands his actions could have been misconstrued, but that was not his intention.
What about Lyle's girlfriend?
What about Lyle's girlfriend? Did you make a pass at her? Well, he's not admitting that it was a pass. He's saying he was joking around, he was trying to be friendly, but now he can see how she might have misunderstood.
What does he think should happen with his sons?
So, Jose, what do you think should happen with your sons? What would be the best course of action for their lives? As a father, he would like to say they should get out, but because of who he is, where he is now, he can't say that because he feels like they would be a danger to society. And
really? Now, that was my next question. Did he think that they are kind of lifelong criminals, or was this a one-off type of thing? I'll tell you what I think later, but I could see that. I could see what he means. Yeah, that's sad. Does he think, was Lyle born that way, or was it a product of abuse?
Yeah. So, Jose, do you believe that Lyle was born a psychopath? He's saying no, he was shaped. And
so that's actually
visual.
A sociopath.
I get this visual of Lyle's body like a mine where you have like the lines of ore going. His body is like that. What was seeded into him by his father, it's like woven into his body. That's not coming out.
It's in his DNA.
Well, it's in his DNA, but it was also enhanced.
Oh. So there's this argument, psychopath versus sociopath, and the professionals don't agree, but there does seem to be some reason to believe that psychopaths are born with an abnormal brain and abnormal brain function, like their neurochemistry. They don't necessarily ever become criminals in that sense, but they're very successful manipulating people and cool under pressure. Like a neurosurgeon is one of the top 5 jobs, and so is preacher. So, putting that aside, the other option, there used to be a category in and of itself, is a sociopathy, a sociopath, and that kind of means they're sort of similar, but the sociopath is made that way by environment and does have a tiny bit of ability to bond emotionally, whereas a pure psychopath really just uses people and kind of was from childhood that way. So I wonder, maybe we've got a little bit of each going on here.
It sounds like it, but so Jose, could you comment on that? Do you think that Lyle is a combination of psychopath and sociopath?
No, I think Lyle is the psychopath and Eric is the sociopath.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But who am I?
He definitely had the DNA, as you said. It was bred into him. He came with that already, but then that raw material was crafted by
That's
Jose.
how it works. Yeah, that's how it works. What about Eric?
So what about Eric? What would you say about him? He could have been a good boy, but he had those influences in his life that led him astray. So because he was so malleable, he picked up what he was asked to do. He walked that path. He didn't really think about it a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't think I have any other questions for the dad.
Okay.
What about the mom?
So what would you like to ask her?
What was her relationship with her husband?
So, Kitty Menendez, are you available to speak? I don't know how she was in life, but she's coming across as very meek and mild. So, could you talk about your relationship with your husband, with Jose? Did you have any kind of a marriage with him? It was very subservient. He wanted sons, I gave him sons, and then I pulled away and lived my own life. And it feels like she did not really connect emotionally with those boys. She pulled herself out of it. She held herself apart.
Did she do that because she knew they were being abused?
So, Kitty, did you do that because you knew they were being abused? She's not admitting that she knew they were being abused.
Is she denying it or just not admitting it?
No, she's just kind of pulling away from it, like, not wanting anything to do with it. Big time denial.
So is that why she drank?
So, Kitty, is that the reason you drank? Say, well, you drink too in that situation. Anything to escape reality.
How come she didn't leave him?
So, Kitty, why didn't you leave him? She had nowhere to go. He had cut her off from everything, and in the true narcissist relationship, made her feel dependent on him. She had no options. It was a trap.
Yeah, that's a common story. I knew that they had a lot of extended family, but was it all his extended family then? And she couldn't rely on them.
Yeah. Was there any of your family available for you? He had cut her off from them. She had family, but they were not available.
That's so sad.
And they had not a clue what was going on.
Really?
Well, remember, they played their roles very well. And then,
yeah. I don't know how to ask this question because it seems like a foolish question, but I'm really curious. Was she taken completely by surprise by what the boys did?
So, Kitty, were you surprised when the boys attacked and murdered you? She kind of has this fatalistic energy. Like, something had to happen. She was surprised it was that exact way, but she knew something was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's walking around in sewage for years, and she knew the level was going up.
See, that's denial, huh? Because what was the source of it, right? Yeah. That's really, really sad. It's really sad. I did have another question for her about the boys. Well, what does she think should happen with them?
So, Kitty, what do you think should happen with the boys now? She would like them to have another chance at life. She thinks that that's only right, that what was done to them robbed them of their opportunity to live this life, and in her heart, she would like to see that happen, another chance.
Does she trust Lyle to not go on to hurt somebody else?
Do you think Lyle is trustworthy to be released? Not hurt other people? She doesn't know. Honestly, she doesn't know, but she thinks he should be given the chance. Yeah, deluded.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So let's ask Eric something here. Let's get his side of the story. Was he controlled and influenced by Lyle, or did he participate willingly? I'll tell you why in a minute, but let's see what he says
Okay.
first.
So, Eric, could we speak to the soul of Eric, please? Were you influenced by Lyle in committing the heinous act against your parents? Yeah, that was the relationship. He was the big brother, he led the way, and I followed along and cleaned up messes. That was my role.
Okay, so what was the deal with the story that he wrote, the script that he wrote in high school about the brothers who shoot their parents for their money?
So, Eric, what about the script you wrote about the brothers killing the parents for the money? You might say that was wishful thinking, but it was fantasy. At the time, I wasn't contemplating actually doing it. It really was just fantasy and escapism for me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Can he talk about the burglaries that they did where they stole the jewelry?
So, Eric, can you tell us about the burglaries where you stole jewelry? Oh, he's saying that he and Lyle had a plan to escape the oppression of the parents. So they were stealing in order to fund their escape, but they weren't very good at it and they got caught. And then, all hell broke loose after that.
Can you hear the noise in the background?
Once in a while, I hear a little something, but nothing much.
My next door neighbors are a married couple. He's a firefighter EMT and she works the 911. She's a 911 operator and they're quiet 99.999% of the time. Right now, they're all outside. All their friends are outside beating on a drum and yelling.
Oh,
They never do that.
I don't hear that.
Okay, good. Okay, because I don't care, but unless it's interrupting. So my next question. Oh God, I've lost my train of thought. Whose idea was the robberies, the burglaries?
So, Eric, whose idea was it to rob the homes? It was Lyle's, of course.
Were there other people involved? Like, was it a group of boys?
So, Eric, were there others involved in the robberies? Did you have help? Yeah. Yeah, some of their rich friends, but they didn't get caught.
How did his father react?
So, when your father found out, how did he react? He beat them, locked them in their rooms, starved them for a while, berated them. There was no peace. Their life became like a war field. He was just constantly on them because they had so gone against the grain of what they were supposed to do. They'd made trouble for him. They broke all the rules. His father was just incensed. He was a maniac.
So this terrible story really is disturbing. So we already asked that question. Okay, one of his friends said that Eric confessed to him that he had committed the murders. And they were going to use that confession in trial, Was his friend telling the truth or was his friend just wanting to be in the middle of it,
So, Eric, did you confess to one of your friends, the one who claimed that you did? He did. It was really stupid, but he did. It was a lot for him to contain, and he needed the outlet, so he did.
So I'm going to assume that Lyle planned it.
Is it true that Lyle planned the crime to do away with your parents? No, actually, they did it together.
Was it because he confessed to Lyle that the dad was still bothering him?
So, Eric, was it because you confessed that your father was messing with you? Is that why you planned it together? We were brothers. We did everything together, and for years we knew that there was going to come the day where we would have to stand up, be men, and take control of our lives. So the seeds were planted many years before that, and they just got to a place where it was a point of no return.
Why didn't he leave? He was 18. Maybe he was 17. Why didn't he leave?
So, Eric, why didn't you leave? He couldn't cope. He didn't know how to do things on his own. He didn't have that kind of mentality, the resourcefulness that his brother did. So he just went along in Lyle's shadow.
And it might sound callous to kind of challenge that question, challenge him with that question.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of opportunities to be gone. He was a tennis player and he was traveling quite a bit in tournaments, and he had won a big tournament. He was like number 44 in the world of tennis for his age group, which is pretty impressive around the world, I often wonder, I understand about coercive control and undermining your confidence and isolating you and everything. But boy, that's such a dire option, right? It's so bad.
He was saying that what you don't understand is it's like being in mental prison.
Actually, I do understand.
Yeah.
No.
So in your mind, you're in prison. There are no options.
There are no options. Yeah. Yeah. It's very sad. When they completed the crime and they took off and tried to establish an alibi, they tried to go to a movie, they went to a food festival, they wandered around LA for a while, thinking that somebody heard the shots and somebody else would come, the cops would come to investigate. When they got back home and nobody had been there yet, they called 911 and acted like they just got home and discovered their parents. They put on quite a show. Was that all acting?
So, Eric, when you called 911 and talked to the police about the crime, was that all acting, the stress and whatever else you did at that time? Was that acting? Well, that was their normal way of being. Yeah, it was always putting on a show. So they stepped right into that role easily.
We'll ask Lyle, but we'll go back and ask Lyle some of these questions. But moving forward, at first the police believed them. They were pretty persuasive. And they went on a spending spree. They went through almost $1 million. They bought condos and cars and clothes and watches and trips and cruises, and it's insane. Did it never occur to them that would draw attention to them as a motive?
So, Eric, did it occur to you that all that spending after your parents' deaths would make you look like you were guilty? He said it was like being on speed. It was such an adrenaline rush being free. And they just went crazy.
Yeah, they did.
Out of control.
Yeah. That was insane. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that, the itemization of the stuff that they bought was crazy. Let's see. Oh, talk about, he had a counselor his last name, I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, is Oziel. Could you talk about him?
So, Eric, could you talk about your counselor? He had mixed feelings about him. Sometimes he really liked him and felt he was an ally, and other times he put up his guard and told him a whole, line of BS just to see what he could get away with. So it was very Jekyll and Hyde, kind of like.
But he confessed to him.
Did you confess to your counselor? He's not sure. He thinks he might have, but he's not sure. He doesn't have a clear memory. His thoughts were pretty jumbled and, highly emotional.
Did he threaten to kill Oziel or did Lyle?
That's the counselor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lyle had brought his brother. Which one of them threatened to kill Oziel?
So, Eric, did you threaten to kill the counselor? Did Lyle? Yeah, Lyle did. He was doing his big brother thing, stepping in, trying to clean up the mess.
I'm pretty sure, if I have my facts right, Eric's lawyer was Leslie Abramson, the blonde with the curly hair. Is that right? So
I remember seeing her at the time, yeah.
What was that? Well, they had two separate lawyers. What was that relationship all about? Because it was creepy.
You want to ask Eric that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Eric, could you tell us what you observed about Lyle's relationship?
No. I think it was Eric's. She was Eric's attorney.
She was Eric's?
I think. I should look it up. Just ask him and see what he has to say about it while I hunt here.
Yeah. So, Eric, what could you tell us about the relationship with Leslie Abrams? They conned her. She fell for their story, hook, line, and sinker. They got her emotional support. There was something that they used that triggered her because she's got trauma in her background. Once they triggered her, then they had control.
Well, there was this performative sort of weird situation, and I got the impression, I didn't follow this closely, so I'm kind of piecing it together after the fact, but I got the impression that there were suspicions there was an untoward relationship between them, but she acted to him like he was a child. She was always fixing his collar and fixing his hair, and it was very weird. But there was a little something more to it. It was really odd, really, really odd. So they were playing up to that.
Yeah, took advantage of it.
So she really thought he was innocent, or not innocent, but excused.
So, Eric, do you think that Leslie really believed that you should be declared innocent? Yeah, she was a true believer. But it was because they used that manipulation. They honed, it's like predators and prey. They
that's what
the weakness. They find the weakness. They exploit the weakness.
Yep.
And then she was putty in their hands once they had done that.
I totally believe it. At one point, there was evidence given in court by the defense. It was a photograph, and it was two boys side by side from the waist down, naked. They were claiming, the defense lawyers, that it was Eric and Lyle and that their father had taken the picture. But there was no proof. It was a random picture, and they, it wasn't persuasive. It was appalling, but it wasn't persuasive. Was that them?
So, Eric, the picture of the two boys from the waist down, was that a picture of you and Lyle? No.
Okay. At some
point, it was a prop.
Yeah, that's that's what I thought. I don't know if you can tell I have an opinion here. They made a statement. I think Eric is the one who said this, but correct me if I'm wrong. You can ask. One of them said about their mother that they were doing her a favor. They were putting her out of her misery. Is that true? Did they feel that callous towards her?
Well, the energy I feel from both of them is contempt because they took that from their father. He emulated that.
Let's ask, did they harbor a lot of resentment towards her because when they confessed to her, they were being, she didn't believe him.
So, Eric, is it true that you told your mother you were being abused and she didn't believe you? He said, no, that's not true because she knew we were being abused in his mind. But of course, we have no way of knowing other than asking her about it.
She said after the fact, to relatives and stuff, like the cousin, he confessed to the cousin went to her, she denied it. That's what I mean by she said it didn't happen. Did they harbor resentment over that? Was that where the contempt came from?
Okay, so Eric, did you have resentment of your mother for denying that the abuse was happening? Well, you're damn right we did. She never stood up for us. She was never the fierce mother warrior that we needed to give us a soft landing place that we could grow up into decent human beings. She turned us over to that monster.
Yeah.
And he ate us up from the inside out.
Can he describe his time in county jail?
So, Eric, can you tell us about your time in county jail? Well, it was certainly no picnic. They got a lot of physical and verbal abuse from the inmates as well as from the guards because they were just considered guilty the whole time. And for the people who were in that environment, killing your parents is like, you just don't do that.
I don't know, it's maybe I'm naive, but I would think that so many people there would have experienced the same kind of mistreatment that they would understand the impulse. Yeah,
well, what he's saying is it's like that honor among thieves thing, It doesn't matter ultimately what they did to you. They're still your parents, and that's like a line you don't cross.
It's good to have a code.
I guess you could call it that.
What were they thinking with their endless appeals and delays and other trials? And did they really think that they were going to get off with this? They were going to get away with it?
Well, he just said we were working the system.
Okay, well, that's kind of a rhetorical question, huh? Let's see here. Oh, can he talk about his marriage?
So, Eric, can you talk about your marriage? You were married? Okay, so can you talk about your marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun for a while. But it did. He thought by getting married, he'd finally have somebody who loved him, appreciated him, and made him feel important. But it didn't fill that deep, ugly wound inside of him that was still there. And then he found himself turning against her because nothing she could do would ever make it right.
Are they divorced?
So are you divorced from her? He says yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I don't know. Maybe we could check, I guess.
Well, let's ask, because I don't want to go over an hour in this video because of the system. Yeah. So let's ask Lyle a couple of questions. Thank you to Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Stay out of my hometown.
It's funny, he has this very reluctant, even though he came forward and talked, it's very reluctant. He's not the leader, not the one who'd be out there in front. No. Never. Yeah.
So I got some questions for Lyle.
Yeah, let's do it.
How did he get into Princeton?
So Lyle, tell us how you got into Princeton. You knew a guy who knew a guy, and you could pay them off.
I knew it. I just knew it. I knew there was no way that guy got in on his own merits.
He said he wasn't going to take a chance at being rejected. Couldn't have that.
Oh, because how his father would react.
Well, how his father would react, but also himself. Because now this sensibility has been bestowed upon him. And it's inconceivable that he could be rejected. So he
Yeah.
had to make sure that wouldn't happen.
So was he the ringleader in the jewelry burglaries?
Lyle, were you the ringleader in the jewelry burglaries? No. He was working with somebody else who had experience, who was giving them tips and guiding them, but not getting his actual hands dirty.
Kind of a Fagin.
Yeah.
You know, from Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
When he was in Princeton, he caused all kinds of trouble. He didn't want to share a room, and so he threw all of his roommates' belongings outside. Can you talk about that?
So, Lyle, can you talk about what was going on when you threw your roommates' belongings out? Having a male roommate was anathema to him. He couldn't tolerate it because of the issues with his father. It just brought up all of these repugnant feelings.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. He couldn't do it. Physically could not do it.
Yeah. When he was after his parents were killed, well, let me not get ahead of myself. Did he plan all this? Did he plan what happened, or did Eric take an equal part in it?
So, Lyle, did you plan the way that your parents ended? Was that your plan? He sketched it out, but then Eric came in and helped fill in the gaps. So they did it together. It was collaborative, but he was a clear leader.
Did he offer money to his girlfriend to lie about his father, to make him look bad, to justify, you know?
So, Lyle, did you offer to pay your girlfriend to lie about your father? Oh, she worshiped me. I didn't have to pay her. She would do anything I asked. So he already had her programmed.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, let's ask this question. So did she lie? What she said, was it a lie? Yeah. So that was the answer. She did lie.
Oh, you got cut out. I was waiting. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, sorry.
There was a
Yeah.
skip. We're all staring at each
Okay.
other.
Yes, she lied.
She did lie. But
Yeah.
now, wait a minute. Did she lie for him? She gave evidence and it was a lie. Is that what we're saying here?
That's how I took it, but let me ask.
Okay,
So
okay.
she lied to your benefit. Is that true? Yeah.
Okay.
Why else would she lie, you know?
Well, I don't know. I was confused. I'm completely confused. So there's the story that 2 days after his parents died, he shows up at his attorney's house with a safe that has another will in it. But there's an alternative story that they found a second will on the computer. And he came from Princeton and erased the computer and then hired a computer professional to double check it was completely erased. So what's the story with the will, or the many copies of the will? What was going on there?
Yeah. So there were 2 second copies?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I don't know. There's these 2 stories. I don't know if they are 2 separate wills, one in a safe and one on the computer, or if it's the same will and the story is muddled. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So, Lyle, can you tell us about the will? The 2 copies? Is it true there were 2 copies? Well, yeah, his father would have had a copy in both places because he was thorough that way. Were they identical, though? Was it the same? Well, he didn't know. That's why he needed to find out. He had a feeling that there was something that had changed because he and Eric had started standing up to their father. So they were feared that he had changed it. So they dealt with the one they could access, which was on the computer. The one in the safe he didn't have access to.
Had his father changed the will?
So had he changed the will? He says no, he hadn't changed it.
Oh, well,
His father, he was in denial that they would ever stand up to him. So there would be no reason to change it.
So I think we kind of know what the situation was with the trial, and and it's pretty clear who did it. I think we understand better why they did it. I'm curious about his marriage, because he was married too. He was married more than once. And you're going to love the story. So he was married, and after about not quite 5 years, he was divorced. This is all behind bars. Then about a year or so later, he got remarried, but then ended up getting divorced because he was unfaithful with another woman. Do not ask me how that happened. So I want to know about that.
Yeah. So, Lyle, can you help us understand what was going on with your jailhouse marriage? Did you cheat on your wife while you were in prison? He said there are ways. If you've got money, you can arrange things. So, yeah, he's not the type to be faithful.
Does he have any emotion? Does he feel emotion?
Doesn't feel like it. He feels very cold. Yeah. So, Lyle, do you have any emotion? Are you aware of feeling emotion? He's very flippant. He says, "What's that?"
Does he think he's pretty smart?
That's how it feels. But so you think you're a pretty clever character, right? Well, it's a layer. On the one layer, yeah, the surface, he does, because look what he did. But underneath, he doesn't really believe it. He feels like a big screw up underneath.
That's interesting, because I'm checking off the hair psychopathy checklist, because I'm going to make my diagnosis. And he's checking a lot of the characteristics. It's interesting. He's criminally versatile and manipulative and grandiose. That's the part I wasn't sure about. Like, does he think he's a great character? Because usually there's that narcissism and grandiosity. But he's a pathological liar, and he likes excitement, and he manipulates people. It just goes on and on. It's interesting. Does he feel any guilt?
Do you feel any guilt, Lyle? Guilt is a waste of time. No.
Has he learned anything?
Would you say you've learned anything? Oh, he's learned to be less trusting of people, to keep his mouth shut, and to take care of himself, not to rely on other people. It's all about number one.
Oh my God. Okay, I guess I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other questions?
There was something bubbling up, but I think it's gone now.
Do you hate that? That happens more and more to me now.
Let's ask this. So, Lyle, if you were able to choose what happened for you in the future, what would you choose for yourself?
I was going to ask something like that. It's a good question.
He would buy an island and set it up to serve his needs, bring in the people he wanted to be there. He would create his own little microcosm that he controlled.
Where would the excitement come from?
So where would the excitement come from? Controlling the people.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that. I knew he was going to say that. Well, this has been a very disturbing little conversation, hasn't it?
Yes.
Wow. Well,
but really, really sad.
Well,
it's a tragedy.
It shows a couple of things. It shows how a combination of genetics and environment can really warp an individual, and there's no going back on that, and so it becomes generational. Grandfather, father, sons, and now look where they are. It's probably a good thing that they're locked up and can't have children, or they probably could actually, but I don't know. I don't know what the situation is in that particular prison, but it's really sad. And I don't mean to sound heartless about it, but also we tend to try, I think we want to find the good and make the excuses. And I think there are people for whom they're just empty shells, you know. I feel sorrier for his brother, but not all that much because they both claim it was equal. It just goes to show you, doesn't it? Be nice to your kids. Or you might end up in a bad way. It's really sad. Well, I guess we should end it. And look at this perfect timing. Exquisite timing. So this will allow us to put out some stuff, and we're going to continue to do this, I think.
I would love to hear the questions that this prompts for people. What does it bring up?
For sure. You know, give us your questions or your comments in the comments, you know, under the video, and I'll get them across to Deborah, and we'll see if we can answer any of them. Maybe we could do a video. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Deborah. It's been enlightening. Parenting 101. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye.
It's long before.